Marty Lyons, we'll see what he saw yesterday. He was in the booth, and I listened to his call along with Bob Wischusen on the Jets Radio Network, which is right here on 104.5 Team ESPN Radio. Marty, Roger Weiland, Chris Honorado, good morning.
How you guys doing?
We're good, Marty. We're just talking about the difference in this game yesterday, and I got to go right to the headline here because everyone you'll wake up this morning talking about that Jets New England game is talking about the touchdown that was called a touchdown on the field that was overturned, and I'm not making any sense of that decision.
You know what? Either am I. But if you look at it from the reverse angle, when Alston caught the ball, he was clearly making a move to the end zone, and then he started to juggle the ball. And as soon as he crossed the end zone, he went out of bounds. But they said he didn't have complete control of the ball. That's why it was overruled. And, you know, for 16 years I've been doing the Jets radio. It's the first time that I've ever seen something like that. And, you know, it definitely hurt the Jets. But I think what hurt the Jets more than anything was, you know, they weren't productive in the third quarter. They only had one possession. They used 2 timeouts in that one possession. Then they ended up punting. And you jump out to a 14-point lead with a young team. You know, they got to realize you have to finish the game. You got to play for 4 quarters, especially against New England, especially against Tom Brady.
Marty, and I agree. I mean, I don't know that the Jets win the game if that call is overturned. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. They're playing against an awfully good team offensively. But defensively, the Patriots have some holes, right? And I don't know what the Jets did in the first half that they didn't do in that third quarter. But you're right. The no offense in the second half, a big part of the storyline for the Jets yesterday.
Well, I think making the adjustments at halftime has always been one of Bill Belichick's, you know, reason why he's won so many times. And, you know, to start off the game, they came out with a lot of energy, and they threw up 14 points real quick. But New England won the toss, and they deferred. They love doing that because they want to have the final possession of the second quarter and the first possession of the third quarter. They scored on their last possession to tie it up at 14, and they scored on their first possession of the third quarter to make it 21-14. So they did exactly what, you know, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady have done for years. You know, defer, get that last possession, get the first possession, and make it a new game. And that's what they did.
You hear Marty Lyons every Sunday right here on 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio with Bob Wischusen during the Jets games, and he's a member of the Jets Ring of Honor. Marty, after the Jets play New England tough yesterday, if you're a Jets fan, what should expectations be the rest of this season? Now 3-3, they've already exceeded many people's expectations for the entirety of the 2017 season. What is this team going the rest of the way?
Well, I think, number one, this team they're going to play hard. They're going to play with a great deal of passion. And that's a reflection on Todd Bowles and his coaching staff. And, you know, when you have a young team, it can be a big advantage to you. You got Adams, you got Marcus May, you got all these guys that came from big colleges that were used to winning. And now you get to the NFL, and already they're telling you you're on a team that's supposed to go 1-15 or 0-16, and these guys aren't buying into it. They believe in one another in the locker room. They trust one another, and they're buying into the system. And when you can do all that and you have early results like being 3-3, I think every game that they're going to put themselves in a position to win. What you learn or take away from yesterday's loss is no lead is big enough against any team to be secured for a victory. I mean, look at Miami. They're down by 17 to the Falcons. They come back and they win 20-17. So you got to play the game, and you got to really get into the fourth quarter with an opportunity to win, and these young kids are going to learn how to finish the job.
Marty, you mentioned, and Marty Lyons with us. We appreciate it. Jets radio analyst here on Big Board Sports on 104.5 at Team ESPN Radio. How much credit do you give Todd Bowles?
I give him a lot of credit because, you know, you start the season off and nobody thinks you can do anything. Now, you have a built-in excuse because you lost a lot of veterans. You have a young team, and you can either buy into what everybody's saying or prove them wrong. And I think that he took the approach of saying, hey, let's prove these guys wrong. And he got everybody to buy into his system. He brought in a new offense coordinator in Johnny Morton, and he has put together a West Coast offense, which, if you can control the turnovers, you have a chance to win. But the big thing about the Jets being so young is their margin of error is so slim. You don't have to play a perfect game, but you can't turn the ball over. If you turn it over one time, it could present a problem. The other thing I think the Jets have to do going forward in these last 10 games is find a way to get to the quarterback. You got Muhammad Wilkerson, you got Leonard Williams, 6 games into the season. They don't have a quarterback sack. So, you can't always blitz to get pressure on the quarterback. You need those guys up front to beat the guy in front of them one-on-one and put some pressure on the quarterback.
Marty, you mentioned Marcus May and you mentioned Jamal Adams, the 2 rookie safeties. Who else on this roster through 6 games has been a real pleasant surprise to you as you've seen all of them?
Well, without a doubt, Jeremy Curley, Jermaine Kearse, those guys. You look at Jeremy Curley, he's secured, the punt returns. He's going to catch it, and he's going to give you positive yards after the catch. Going into yesterday's game, he was 17 for 17, targeted 17 times and had 17 reception. I think that broke off yesterday. I think he's been targeted now 20 times with 19 reception. And you got Jermaine Kearse coming from Seattle. He knows what it takes to win. And I think also Josh McCown, he's been playing the game hard, and he brings a lot of chemistry to that team. When he's in the huddle, those other 10 guys aren't doubting him. They believe in him, and that's why they're 3-3. And, you just got to go out and play hard every weekend, and now they go up against a Miami team that came from behind yesterday, and it's going to be a tough game down there in Miami.
Marty, I think you don't want to argue that New England's still the best team in that division, but let me just ask you as a defensive guy, what have you seen from the Patriots defensively? Do they look like they're not as good as they have been in years past, and this is a defense that you can score points on? Is that what you're seeing out of New England on the defensive side of the ball?
Right. I think you can score points on them, but can you outscore Tom Brady? That's the question. It's almost like sometimes you can get into a track meet with them, arena football. You score, I score, you score. Then all they need to do is stop you one time. And Tom Brady's always going to be able to throw up points. He's got Gronkowski, he's got Cook, he's got White coming out of the backfield. Just when you thought that with Edelman going down that maybe, he's lost a weapon, but somehow Tom Brady is Tom Brady. He's at his best.
Jets go Dolphins, Falcons, Bills, Bucks before a bye. And I'm telling you, Raj, out of those 4 teams, and Marty, please weigh in here, I don't know what to make out of any of them, especially the way Atlanta loses yesterday to Miami, the Miami comeback. Tampa looked terrible yesterday. I don't know what to make of any of the next 4 opponents, really, for the Jets going into their bye week.
And throw in the mix, Kansas City loses to Pittsburgh after Pittsburgh loses to Jacksonville. So that's why every week in the NFL is exciting. And who would have thought the Giants last night would have gone out there and beat Denver the way that they did? But you come away with 4 sacks, you get a defensive score on an interception. Things happen in the game of football that makes you scratch your head. But that's why it's the NFL.
And Mark, just one more for me. I know preseason, everyone had the Jets. They're going to tank the season. Bowles is going to have a hard time, coming back as the coach. All the negativity. What were you thinking personally? Did you think this was going to be a really long, bad season, or did you have in the back of your mind, you know what? I hear everybody talking here, but I'm at every practice. I'm seeing what's going on here. Don't be surprised if the Jets have a better season than you think.
Well, to be honest with you, I put that uniform on, and I was through some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I remember some of these so-called experts saying that, we didn't have a chance. And I used to always tell myself and tell my teammates, hey, we can either use that built-in excuse or we can prove them wrong. And I always felt like, hey, you know what? I can't allow somebody to tell me to fail without trying. And I think that that's what this team, that's the approach that they took. And again, credit to Todd Bowles to keep it in the locker room and make these guys understand maybe it's us against the world, but it's all of us. And we're going to trust one another, we're going to believe in one another, and we're going to prove them wrong. Now, they did get a couple breaks down there in Cleveland that helped them out, and, they walk away with a road victory. And yesterday the breaks didn't go in their way. But good teams find a way to win, and that's what they have to understand. That's what they have to believe in.
Marty, appreciate a few minutes, man. Great job with you and Bob Wischusen on the call, and we thank you for a few minutes here on Big Board Sports in Albany.
Great to see you in the booth,
got it,
Marty.
guys. Stay
Thanks.
well.
Thank you, Marty. Marty Lyons, Jets radio analyst. All Jets games right here on 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio.